Mario, Sonic, Crash Bandicoot. These are some of the biggest video game mascots to date. However, there have been other attempts to make new characters that challenge these old favorites. Some good, some not so good. Either way, they're remembered fondly by those who played them. With that said, I'm Elijah, and the icon presents 10 obscure video game mascots, in no specific order. For the purpose of this list, mascots are characters in video games that are meant to be accessible by a wide audience, and will only be including platformers and action platformers. And before we get started with the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that little annoying bell. I know it's annoying, but I would really appreciate it if you did it. Number 10. Ty the Tasmanian Tiger. You ever have someone new come to work at your job, and they instantly thought they were better than everyone else? That's kinda like Ty. His first ad hilariously features him taking down the likes of Spyro, Crash Bandicoot, and Sonic the Hedgehog. Ty has had 4 games. 3 3D platformers, and the 4th being a 2D side-scroller. And after successfully funding a Kickstarter and raising more than $100,000, Ty is getting an HD remaster in 2020. Ty may not be the most popular character to platform across our screen, but he certainly seems to be loved by a lot of people. Number 9. Billy Hatcher and the Giant Egg. Oh Billy, you were gone too soon. Developed by the Sonic team, you play as Billy, a boy who rolls a giant egg around he uses as a weapon and to get around the map. Roll the egg over fruit to increase the size and the power of your egg. The game was considered to be a commercial flop, which is sad because it's actually fun. The graphics and music were beautiful and the level design was extremely inventive, and just a pleasure to look at. Billy Hatcher didn't look like any other game that was out at the time. The game was creative and unique, but from the outside looking in, I guess it didn't translate well with the public. Which is a shame because the game deserved a sequel. Imagine playing this on the Wii or the Switch or any other platform that could make use of motion controls. Number 8. Glover. So the idea behind this one is that you're a glove and your job is to maneuver a ball from one end of the stage to the next. You can set the ball down and do attacks such as fist slams and slaps. This doesn't sound fun, but trust me, it really was. The game isn't easy either, and you have to give Interactive Studios credit for what they were able to accomplish considering that this was one of the early day 3D platformers. Obviously Mario 64 gets a lot of the credit for defining the genre, but Glover deserves a bit of that credit too. Number 7. Vex. He's described as Wolverine's little brother by Game Informer. Where most platformers strive to be bright and colorful, Vex went the opposite and was dark and desaturated. Taking the cue from Mario 64, the gameplay was non-linear. Vex wasn't a bad game, it just failed to capture a lot of people's imagination, and though each world was different, the textures looked blocky and uneven. It just felt really vexing. Number 6. Blinks the Time Sweeper. Blinks was truly intended to be the next big mascot. When the original Xbox was released, they wanted a mascot akin to that of Mario. The obvious choice for some would be Master Chief, but Microsoft thought he was too violent to be their mascot. They wanted something friendlier and accessible to all audiences. In comes Blinks, the cat that can manipulate time. The game had a lot of good ideas, but they weren't fleshed out enough. For instance, the Time Sweeper Blinks uses picks up objects found in the real world and uses them as projectiles. But you can't really aim them. You kind of just have to point Blinks in the general direction and hope he hits his target. Blink was popular enough to warrant a sequel, which to its credit was better than the first and added new features such as co-op. But it still lacked that perfect mix of intricate level design, personality, and fun gameplay that makes a platformer memorable. Number 5. Croc. This game wanted to be the next Mario 64, so it copied it. Croc, though adorable, was generic and didn't really add anything to the genre, especially if you play the other games it was trying to imitate. There were issues with the camera and the controls, but still there was certainly fun to be had. The problem was it couldn't live up to the other games it was trying to copy. But if you had a PlayStation and couldn't play Mario or didn't have Spyro, this was a decent alternative. Number 4. Bomberman. Okay, we all know Bomberman, the fun puzzle game. However, there was a time in 1997 where the game tried to branch out and Bomberman got his own action platformer, and it was fun. The game was unique, and it mimicked the sought-after Mario 64 formula pretty well, but also added new features such as bombs, which could be used for more than just exploding. You could use them to build platforms or to bridge gaps. The game was bright, colorful, and it had its own host of memorable characters. Of course, if you're a Bomberman purist, this stark departure from the main Bomberman series might be a turnoff, but there are worse things you could do to Bomberman. Number 3. The Jersey Devil. The story and the characters are better and more interesting than the game itself. It starts off looking like a Saturday morning cartoon you'd see on Fox Kids. The levels in the game and even the characters themselves seem to be inspired by older Looney Tune cartoons. It looks wonderful, and the kind of Halloween aesthetic works really well with the game. Despite this, there are a few missteps. Like with a lot of platformers, the camera is a struggle. The levels look beautiful, but you can't really see them because of the camera. And I'm not judging the game by today's standards. Like, even when the game was released, everyone could agree that the camera was bad. I really wish this game was more fine-tuned, because I would have loved for this series to continue. The main character was like a cross between Bugs Bunny and Darkwing Duck, and had a spin dash ability similar to Crash, and the added ability to float so he could explore his vast environments. It was fun and creative. I don't think we would get a game similar until years later, but that's another list. Number 2. Ganks. Originally a 2D side-scroller that got turned into a 3D platformer, Ganks was meant to be cool. In his first game, he was a wisecracking gecko that made pop culture references. In the 3D games, they doubled down and he kind of became a parody of himself. Though he wasn't as cool, he was amusing. Ganks did what Croc couldn't, and was able to copy the Mario 64 formula to better effect. It refined a lot of the issues that Croc had, and it turned into a pretty fun game. Ganks lives in a world filled with pop culture references and color. He's kinda like the furry version of Deadpool. The game is fun, beautiful, and hilarious all at the same time. Number 1. Mischief Maker. A robotic maid must rescue her creator from an evil emperor. Besides the plot sounding like the most anime thing ever, it also serves as a story for the first 2D side-scroller on the N64. In a time where a lot of games were looking to mimic what the other Mascots were doing, Mischief Maker did its own thing. Instead of just being a straightforward 2D action platformer, the game played perfectly blends puzzle elements you have to solve in order to beat its 5 worlds that contain 12 stages each. The game was unique and challenging, and made you think outside the box in order to beat its stages and bosses. It's not the prettiest game, but it is bright and colorful, and I would love for it to get an HD facelift. For whatever reason, these games didn't reach the heights as other games, but those who played them remember them, and they're considered classics. So what do you think? Is there any games you remember that I missed? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed the video, please consider giving me a like and subscribe. It really helps us out, and you're going to want to subscribe because we do these videos daily. I'm Elijah Lee with the Icon. Have a good day.